After we announced my pregnancy, my sister-in-law's plan to humiliate me at my husband's party backfired on her and she ended up in jail for divorce 4. When I announced my pregnancy, my sister-in-law's scheme to humiliate me at my husband's party completely backfired, ultimately landing her in jail and leading to a divorce. I'm 29 and have been married to Harry for the past 7 years. For the most part, I adore our marriage, except for one glaring issue, his sister, Kayla. She's been a constant source of negativity in our lives. At the beginning, I actually liked Kayla. When I first met her, I thought she was great. But it didn't take long for my perspective to shift dramatically. Over time, I realized she was toxic, manipulative, and incredibly pessimistic. Knowing how she operates, I made a consistent effort to stay on her good side for the sake of family harmony. Before Harry and I got together, he dated Kayla's best friend back when he was just 17. However, their relationship didn't last. Harry felt pressured into it because of Kayla's meddling. Later, when he was 23 and single, she tried to set him up again, this time with another friend of hers. When Harry wasn't interested, Kayla turned to their parents, complaining that she wanted him to marry someone she approved of. Thankfully, his parents didn't entertain her demands, even though it caused a huge family argument. By the time Harry and I met and started falling for each other, his parents were incredibly supportive of our relationship. Kayla, on the other hand, couldn't have been colder. Every time I was around, she would bring up Harry's exes for no reason, commenting on how well they were doing and even suggesting he reconnect with them. It wasn't just me who found this odd, Harry thought so too and told her to stop. But instead of backing off, she doubled down, accusing me of being jealous and claiming Harry deserved someone better. Kayla's behavior didn't stop there. She would deliberately invite Harry's exes to family dinners hosted by their parents, pretending it was just a coincidence. And although she didn't follow me on social media, she obsessively viewed my Instagram stories, always being the first to watch them. If a man left a comment on one of my photos, she'd run to Harry, accusing me of posting inappropriate pictures. Harry and I couldn't help but laugh at her ridiculous claims. At one point, Kayla even tried to convince Harry to break up with me when we decided to move in together. She said I wasn't good enough for him and that she could find someone much better. That really hurt, especially since I'd been nothing but kind to her. Things only got worse after Harry proposed. During our engagement party, everyone was thrilled and congratulating us, everyone except Kayla. She sat there silently, then suddenly got up and stormed out. Later, she called Harry, crying and yelling that she felt betrayed because she hadn't been told about the engagement first. Then she sent me a bizarre, almost threatening message, telling me how I should treat her brother because she had always been the most important woman in his life. I didn't even respond. After that, Kayla began ignoring me entirely whenever we crossed paths. Yet, for some reason, she remained involved in all the wedding planning. When I went dress shopping or had my bridal shower, she was there, offering nothing but criticism. She made it clear she was unhappy with every decision I made, often mocking my choices. One day, while I was discussing centerpieces with my future mother-in-law, Kayla chimed in to insult my taste, saying it lacked class and proving, once again, that she thought Harry should have married someone else. That was the last straw. I lost my temper and told her she was no longer invited to the wedding. She acted shocked, as if she couldn't believe I had finally stood up to her. My mother-in-law supported me, which only made Kayla angrier. Later, she called Harry, demanding that he control me because I had embarrassed her. Harry firmly told her he was on my side and that she wouldn't be welcome at the wedding unless she apologized. Begrudgingly, she sent me an apology text, but I was so drained from wedding preparations that I just left her on read. Although I didn't want her there, Kayla did attend our wedding. She showed up in a dramatic black floor-length gown with a veil, looking as if she were in mourning. She spent the entire evening acting like a victim, going around to guests and lamenting that she had lost her brother to another woman. Harry eventually confronted her, but she accused me of being controlling. Her behavior escalated to the point where my in-laws had to step in and ask her to leave. Since that day, I've kept my distance from Kayla. When my son, Nate, was born, I made it clear that she wouldn't be allowed near him. My in-laws fully supported my decision, understanding exactly why I didn't want her around my child. Kayla had a miscarriage 2 years ago with her boyfriend, Jamie, and while it was a heartbreaking time for everyone, Harry and I softened toward her. We even let her reconnect with Nate, hoping she had changed. At first, she seemed genuinely kind to our son, but eventually, her old ways resurfaced. Here's the rewritten and slightly expanded version of the text with its meaning intact. My husband has never had this kind of emotional meltdown, she finally cried out before storming out of the room and dashing to the restroom. My husband was visibly enraged, his temper boiling over. I reached out to calm him, gently stroking his hand as my mother-in-law arrived to help de-escalate the situation. Understanding how grating Kayla could be, I nodded in agreement when he apologized for her offensive comments about our son. After years of enduring Kayla's behavior, I felt a surprising sense of relief seeing my husband publicly defend me so fiercely. He extended an apology to Jamie, who had been caught in the crossfire, but he entirely ignored Kayla. Once things settled down, we left the lunch gathering with no intention of engaging with Kayla further. Her actions had affected not just me but my husband as well. Later, my in-laws spoke with us and admitted they believed Kayla had gone too far this time. They had seen how she pushed their usually mild-mannered son into a full-blown confrontation. Since that day, we haven't spoken to her, and honestly, things have been more peaceful without her interference. 2 months ago, we received a surprising blessing. I discovered I was pregnant. This came as a delightful shock since we hadn't been actively trying. My husband and I decided to share the news during his birthday celebration, waiting for the perfect moment. My in-laws planned a grand gathering in their backyard, inviting close friends and family. Kayla, despite her estrangement, heard about the event and decided to show up unannounced. Her sudden appearance startled us. She approached Harry, hugging him tightly, and said how much she had missed him. She apologized for their last conversation, her voice dripping with contrition. Taking my hand, my husband told his sister that any apology would need to include me, as she had personally attacked my character. Kayla nodded reluctantly, looked at me, and apologized. She explained that she had been attending therapy for several months and had come to understand how hurtful her behavior had been. While I didn't fully believe her sincerity, I smiled politely, wanting to keep the peace during the party. My in-laws pulled us aside to check on us, offering to ask Kayla to leave if her presence made us uncomfortable. However, Harry insisted we let it slide to avoid creating a scene. Strangely enough, Kayla spent the party socializing and laughing with others, which seemed out of character for her. When it came time for Harry to make his birthday speech, he spoke from the heart. He called himself the luckiest man alive, expressing gratitude for another year with me. His words brought a flush to my cheeks, reminding me of the love we had when we first started dating. Afterward, Harry and I shared the wonderful news about our pregnancy. The room erupted in cheers and congratulations. My mother hugged me tightly, tears streaming down her face, while my father-in-law clapped Harry on the back with pride. The joy was palpable, except for one person. Kayla's mood shifted abruptly. She looked stunned, then irritated, and finally turned away from us entirely. I assumed she was processing the news in her own way and brushed off my concerns, focusing instead on chatting with other guests. Later, Kayla approached me with an unusually bright smile, offering to serve me a plate of food. She handed me a dish, saying it was her way of making amends. I thanked her and was about to eat when I noticed shrimp on the plate, a food I'm severely allergic to. Feeling uneasy but wanting to avoid confrontation, I quietly set the plate aside. Jamie came over to congratulate me on the pregnancy and noticed I wasn't eating. When I mentioned the shrimp, he offered to take the plate, saying he loved shrimp and would eat it himself. Grateful, I handed it to him. Minutes later, Jamie began choking and retching. The room fell silent as everyone watched in horror. He collapsed, clutching his throat, and had to be rushed to the hospital. In the chaos, Kayla accused me of giving him the plate. Panicked, I admitted it had been mine originally but explained I hadn't eaten it due to my allergy. The doctors later confirmed that Jamie had been poisoned, though it's still unclear what caused his reaction. Now, my husband and I are left fielding calls from concerned family members, trying to piece together what happened. What haunts me most is the realization that the plate Kayla gave me could have poisoned not just me but my unborn child. The thought leaves me trembling. I can't shake the suspicion that Kayla's actions weren't accidental. Though I don't have concrete evidence, the security cameras at my in-laws' house might provide some answers. For now, I'm terrified of being near Kayla and fear for my family's safety. Hearing Kayla admit everything in court felt surreal, as if the weight of the past months finally crashed down. She confessed to years of jealousy, admitting she had always wanted one of her best friends to marry Harry instead of me. When Harry chose to date and eventually marry me, she resented it deeply. To her, I was an outsider intruding on her idealized family dynamic. Her confession explained so much: her constant needling, her cold remarks, and the outright hostility she displayed over the years. What surprised me most was her admission about the birthday party. Kayla revealed that she had been planning to announce her own pregnancy at the celebration. When we shared our news first, she felt robbed of her moment. It was clear her emotions, fueled by pregnancy hormones and years of pent-up resentment, pushed her to a breaking point. She admitted to mixing a small amount of rat poison into the dish she gave me. Her intention, she claimed, was to send me to the hospital to teach me a lesson for stealing her spotlight. She insisted she never meant to harm the baby or me. The judge, however, was unmoved by her pleas for leniency. Her actions spoke louder than her words, and she was found guilty of multiple charges, including endangering life, causing grievous harm, and food tampering. Her sentence ensures she will remain far from our lives for a long time. While I avoided attending her court hearings, my in-laws updated me on the outcomes. It's heartbreaking for them. They've lost a daughter to her own poor choices, but they recognize the severity of her actions. Jamie, too, has finally been able to move on. The divorce is finalized, and he's starting to rebuild his life. Over the past months, we've welcomed him into family events, trying to show him he's still part of our lives. I apologize to him repeatedly, unable to shake the guilt of handing him that poison plate. Each time, he reassures me it wasn't my fault, reminding me that Kayla made her choices, not me. His forgiveness has been a balm for my soul, even though I still replay that moment in my mind, wishing I could have prevented it. As for Harry and me, life has taken a brighter turn. Our baby girl was born a few months ago, bringing an indescribable joy to our home. Seeing our son, Nate, embrace his role as a big brother has been heartwarming. He's so gentle and protective with his little sister, it's a bond one can only hope will grow stronger with time. The past year has taught us so much about resilience, forgiveness, and the strength of family. Despite the shadows of what happened, we found light in our daughter's laughter, in Nate's kindness, and in the unwavering support of our loved ones. My parents and in-laws have been incredible pillars of strength, guiding us through this chapter and reminding us of the beauty in moving forward. Thank you for following our story. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so and hitting the notification bell. You'll be updated on more shocking real-life tales from around the world. Until next time, take care and cherish those you love.